Welcome to the Black Girl Blogger Podcast, where you will hear amazing human interest stories from everyday people. They will inspire you, they will encourage you, and they will help you to overcome all of what you are going through in your life. I am your host, Aisha Morgan, and let's meet today's guest. All right, so today we have with us as our guest, Serena McFarland. Serena and I know each other from college. We were both on the same track team at the University of Houston. And we are going to learn some very amazing information today from Serena about her life that I personally think is going to inspire and touch a lot of lives. So Serena, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I currently reside in California. I do have one son, Alexander, who is 5 years old. I am in the information technology space. I am a manager in SAP systems. Prior to that, I do have a finance and management degree, but I crossed over from finance to SAP. So it was like a transition because I love numbers, as you know. I love numbers. I love solving problems and, helping people out so that they can understand how technology works. It's just a resource and a vehicle that we need just to move to the next level, like dealing with life,
Yeah. So very intelligent Black woman that we have today. I just wanted you to say all that, Serena, because I never know what it means, but I just love hearing it. I do.
Well, thank you. I am honored, and I do. Moving, being a Texan and coming to California, things are a little bit different here, but the road was definitely paved, and it was spontaneous. Even moving here from Texas, when I graduated college, as you know, my dad was living here, and I came here on vacation, and God blessed me with a job at Sony, and that's how my career started. So it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very exciting. It was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. My cousin recommended me for that job, and I got into entertainment. And, coming from Texas entertainment, you working at Sony, was very exciting to see all the movies being made and the financial budgets that go along with that.
All right. So why don't you go back and tell us about Mount Pleasant? Now, everybody, I've been there once when I was in college for, I think, Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I thought that I grew up in a small town, but nothing like Mount Pleasant. So, Serena, why don't you tell us about Mount Pleasant?
It's located like 120 miles east of Dallas, Texas, and that's a major city closest. It's also close by Tyler and Longview. Most people know that area because of a lot of athletes that come out of that area. But people are into the chicken business. It's a place where Pilgrim Pride started in Pittsburgh, Texas, which is 5 miles from Mount Pleasant. And they either do that or banking, and they get out and they work in like the cities or whatever. But for me, is in farming. Agricultural farming, and ranching. We grew up on ranching, so we had cattle and horses and all these different things. So for me, it was a nice town because I grew up with my grandparents. I grew up with a lot of family. Family is very important to me. We had, milk. I learned how to milk cows. We cooked all our food fresh from the farm. I didn't really eat in McDonald's, so I was 14 years old. So we never ate out, and we lived in something called White Oak, which is a smaller community of Mount Pleasant because it's 10 miles north of Mount Pleasant, where we have all the land and stuff. And so, it was a very great experience growing up. When I brought you home, you got a chance to see my grandmother and my grandparents, and they raised me because, my mom was killed when I was at the age of 3 years old. So, And going from that, I just grew up with a lot of love, and that I can do anything. And that's part of the reason what pushed me to be what I am today, is because I grew up with that love. I grew up with that support from family, and that you can do anything and make it to the next level. And at the time, I was offered several scholarships, especially academic, to even places such as Stanford and all the Ivy League schools to leave. But I picked a place in Texas because it was closer to my family, and also because Carl Lewis went to University of Houston, and I loved when I went on my visit there.
Exactly. So, I think he got a lot of us to make our decision to go there. Just the fact that you would be rubbing elbows literally with Carl Lewis.
Yes, which was inspirational, going from one inspirational household to that whole unit. I mean, being part of the track team, girl, was an experience. We learned how to depend on one another. It was a lot of team building exercises and just support. And we continue these relationships, 15, 16 years after we've graduated, which is amazing to see us become moms, when you're 18, 19 years old and you don't care about anything else but running track and being an Olympian. It's a little bit different, right?
Right, yeah. So from the people that maybe you went to high school with or your family members, are there a lot of people who stay in Mount Pleasant, or have most of them kind of moved on to different places?
Most of them have moved to the major cities because we had all of the people who graduated with me, they're doing very well for themselves across the United States. They're doctors, they're lawyers, they're doing all this kind of great things. Most people just go back to visit their grandparents and things of that sort. No one really stays in the town like that, right. But people do stay there because they get into the banking. It's things to do. You have jobs there. It's not like a dead town, but it's things to do like that. But it's very, very slow.
Okay.
One Walmart. Let's paint a picture of how it is. You got one Walmart. You have a couple grocery stores. I mean, Brookshire's, no one knows who Brookshire's is. You know what I mean?
No.
We have a lot of love, and we have a lot of families that have their own small businesses like furniture and boutiques of that sort. They make it there, you know what I mean? And they go to Dallas to work. Dallas is only an hour and a half, or Tyler or Longview is an hour to get the jobs there. But I love going home. When you went there, how was your experience in it? What did you think about the hometown?
It definitely was very relaxing time. I just remember not having a care in the world and just
right there you go. That's it. Not having a care in the world and being happy.
Yeah, and we were so relaxed and just chill, and it was just a great environment to be in.
That rearing of having not a care in the world was my foundation. And that's why I'm writing an ebook now, From Mentally Broken After I Had My Son to Happiness. And that's how growing up on a farm and with love and family, it laid a foundation. And I never lost that foundation. So, to get into it lightly, I had Alexander 5 years ago. It was a spontaneous, it wasn't really planned. But when you're pregnant with a kid and the child you can hear the heartbeat and you go through these hormonal changes. I never thought having him would break my mind. And everyone that knows me is that, Serena's a genius. Serena's so smart. And I had a breakdown in that process. And I had to go back and, I came through hardship where I was very depressed. I was very aloft. I didn't even know my mind would run in loops. After I had him, I went through, it was past postpartum depression. Okay. I could wake up and not even know what day of the week it was. So, going through the whole transition of having Alexander and that going beyond the postpartum depression of your mind breaking you, how do you know your mind is broken? When you can't even function to work, when you can't even function to go outside, when you can't even function to hold your own child, when you don't even want to eat, you just are standing still and nothing's happening. And thank God for family. I had my aunts who came to help take care of me, and nobody really wanted to diagnose or know what was wrong with me. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason why I'm writing the ebook, is because a lot of people in our communities, in my age group, in my family, did not talk about mental illness. And I had a psychotic breakdown. Let's just call it a spade. You know what I mean? I was able to get back to the happiness through, getting a mentor. And my family, had to go stay with my family who was covering me, and through praying and through God being my foundation. Let me not even, forget to mention that. And you have to want to fight for your life, Aisha. And I had to want to fight, and I had to want to get out of the situation I was in. And I had no job, no income, no anything. And I had to take care of Alex. And then one day I just woke up meaning I woke up because I decided I had enough. That I had the skills because it was in me. I was bred in to always be a winner. And all the things I had learned about when I was a kid and even being an athlete, I'm tough and I can make it out of anything. And within 30 to 60 days, I had a new job, flying back to California because I had a degree. I had a special set of skills that I can utilize. And I wasn't going to let the devil play in my mind like that. So I had to make up and fight for my life. And I had support. I had friends support. Jasmine came, and when Alexander was born, and she knew, I had that little breakdown. And another reason why we also become broken emotionally, spiritually, physically. Let me tell you what I did. I did a genetic whole different research on when a man plants a seed inside of your body and you have a baby. The things that transpire from his DNA becomes part of my DNA because I'm carrying Alex. Okay. That has such a psychological damage on me because it's like my body was overloaded with his thoughts, overloaded with Alexander's DNA. I didn't even recognize who I was. Yeah. I didn't even know who was Serena. I had feelings that I had never, me, I never have been depressed in my entire life. Me not wanting to eat, that is Lord Jesus. Okay. I love food. I want to say hot water, cornbread, and greens, girl, please. No, for me to go through that transition to lose weight but the group support and me wanting to fight for my life, group meaning family and friends. You need someone to support you through that time and your prayers. And then me having one of the things that I will tell people, get you a mentor or a coach because you having that, it breaks the cycle and someone can monitor and let you know honestly where you're at. If you have someone in your life speaking in your life positively. And that's what got me out of that situation. I had an aunt who was my mentor at the time, and she just kept consistently, every other day, consistently speaking scriptures, positivity. Did you go outside and exercise? Did you go outside and did you read a book? Little things that you take for granted. I didn't even want to take a shower, for crying out loud.
So let's take like a couple steps back.
Okay.
So Alex is 5 right now, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So you were having all of these feelings that you didn't even know that you were having. You were in a deep depression, not even knowing that you were in it. How old was he when you kind of realized it for yourself that you were in it?
When he was born, between 0 years old and 1 year old, that's when I didn't even realize it. It was like between when he was 1 and 2 that I realized that I had a problem.
Okay.
When I had a breakdown in the mental, I was getting broken, all that overload because I was not really functioning. I was, thinking I'm okay 6 months into it because the help began to disappear. Everyone has to go home to their lives, right? So I realized that I wasn't getting up doing the things like, let me go to work, let me do this and do that. And my mind it just kept, what happened was it was compounding down on me like this. Felt like heavy lifting, like someone was beating my brain in every single day. And finally, when I was able, by the time he was a years old, my aunt said, just come and stay with me for a little bit. I was only there 2 or 3 months. That's what woke me up. I changed my environment.
Okay.
I moved to Georgia versus being in California. Okay. And I changed and I was able to think instead of being confined in a space. And I went outside every day and that sunlight really helped me. And I woke up and I said, Lord, please take, because I know at the heart or core of who I am, you have to want to fight. You have to want to be happy. And she kept pushing and saying things every day. Let's just go for a walk. Let's go 15 minutes. And come in, okay, I'm going to eat. So, when I say I stopped eating, I stopped eating. I'll eat a couple pieces of fruits. I didn't even have an appetite for anything.
Yeah.
And you have to get it in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, and all of these things combined that you can make it and that you want to be alive, meaning being the present instead of sitting there like rocking, like you're still there. You have to come up, you got to have that breakthrough in there and say, I want to live. I want to be here for Alex. That kept pushing me and said, I have a child. I have to take care of him because I really noticed I had a problem when I really didn't want to hold him after about 4 or 5 months and I was breastfeeding him. So I had stopped breastfeeding after 3 to 4 months And my friend, one of my good friends who were there helping me take care of Alex, she was like, she didn't even say anything. She just continued like the process of being a mom, even though I wasn't even present.
Right.
And I had to, for people that I want to, inspire that they can find that happiness within themselves, change your environment, go outside, smile. My biggest weapon against the depression was smiling. Everyone says I have a beautiful smile. To smile when you just know you breathing, that your lungs are going up and down. That is really what motivated me to and people, I would walk and smile and people would smile back. So that happiness tingles up. You have to change that mindset to know that you can make it out of any situation and that you are here for a purpose. You are here to make an impact. God gave me a purpose and I haven't finished what I needed to do. So I must fight for the survival. I know, anyone who's listening, you got to get it in your mind to fight, to want to be alive and know that you have a purpose that you haven't fulfilled. You know that inside, like that very fiber, and I'm beginning to want that. But you also have to be careful of talking about, no one told me that when I had a kid, that the man I decided to have a kid, that he would change my life forever. Technically, his DNA is still twined within mine because of Alexander. He's a boy. And that's XY, right? And it's inside of me because I carried that. So when you talk about the actual of being married, having a kid and conceiving the kids, it's some classes and things that we need to learn as women. What happens when a man plants his semen inside of you? What transpires from a DNA standpoint? That is very important to know so that we can be able to move forward, because it was hard for me to move anywhere when I, not with him now. I was just stuck. Because that overloaded my mind, that overloaded my body, that overloaded everything. But I knew, because I was raised by my grandmother, because of the prayers of my grandmother, because of all the things in the team building, going back, being on the track team, and all of the support we had from Leroy Burrell, Carl Lewis, and all those people, and you, Aisha and Jasmine, all of us on the team, we were able to get through anything. How many things have we been through tragically to be able to move through? And then my mom had been killed at 3 years old. I just couldn't give up on life. I had to fight with everything I had. And I was delivered out of that. And that's why I want to write the ebook, to help other women know that they can get out of any situation. And I'm happy, mentally broken to mentally full capacity of being happy, to know that my mind is great and being able to live in the present and continually move forward.
Now, did you go to therapy, or was it more of just for you, the coaching and just having a mentor?
I had a mentor, and currently I'm not in I am in therapy. I'm in therapy for it. So I have a life coach now. I am, after, many years of getting it right, but I didn't actually go to a license.
Yeah.
I went to a licensed coach. I have a licensed coach, a life coach that I speak with on a weekly basis.
Okay.
So I knew, for me to grow, see, the transition is the first year or 2 years, I am still building and going back to work. I hadn't been working for a year.
Right.
And so I moved forward. And after he hit 2, to the age of he is 5, I have been rebuilding my life and working and learning how to grow and deal with consistently maintaining. See, once you become happy and come from mentally broken to be restored, you have to maintain that happiness.
Yeah.
How do you maintain the happiness? You have to go outside and exercise. I have to go do fun things with my son, like take him to the park. I need to smile. Maybe get yourself an animal who can give you a little, love, and you can have that interaction there. You communicate with people and let them know what's going on. Because as you know, one of the things that happens when you're in depression and you're mentally broken, you don't communicate with people.
Right.
And that was one of the things that happened. If you surround yourself with people who love you and want to know what's going on, you're able to break that cycle of just being in a loop of, crying constantly, not wanting to eat, not really sleeping, just existing and not living.
Right. Now, did you, with all the steps that you're taking, does any of it involve any type of self-care? Because I feel like you're saying stuff with Alex and, communicating with other people, But with that, what are you doing for Serena?
For self-care, I get a massage every couple of weeks. I get my nails and feet done. I know we've been stuck in a COVID, but I still groomed myself at home. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You take the time at night to write in a journal. Journaling is another tool that I use to get myself, maintain my happiness, maintain my growth. We have to grow or we're not really living. So I have I journal everything, and having gratitude. Every morning I get up, I pray, whatever you're into, praying, chanting, meditating, do something in the morning when you first get up, to give gratitude. I write in my journal and thank God for everything that I have. And I'm just grateful just to get up. So, you know how many people's feet didn't hit the floor during COVID? So I am just grateful to even be here living, to be allowed one more chance to give the world the purpose that I have been put here for, which is to inspire, to impact, to transform the lives by sharing my story.
Yeah.
So I'm just, it's just, everyone has a story. I want them to know that. And they need to, share them so that you can grab someone who's in that situation and don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And they're able to say, hey, something disrupts that, and they're able to transform. See, my transformation came when you yanked me out of California and put me in Georgia. If anybody knows anything about Georgia, it wakes you up really quick because the culture is different.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Oh no, I got to get back to what I need to do. Right.
So I'm glad that you said that last part, because about everybody having a story. That's the whole point of me starting this podcast, because
okay.
When you talk to people, like sometimes they don't think that what they've been through is going to help somebody else, because they don't realize that other people are dealing with the same thing. Like we always feel like we're on an island by ourselves and that no one else is going through it. And then when you open up and you talk about it, people are like for my blog, for instance, when I wrote about my divorce, I was getting like so many emails and just personal messages from people that were like, I went through the same thing. It's just tough because all of my friends have been married for X amount of time, or, my single friends didn't understand, my married friends didn't understand. So reading your blog, like it really did make sense. It was so relatable. Like I understood exactly what you were saying because that's how I felt. Or whatever the case may be. Like, yes, people do change over time, and sometimes you have to step away from them to find yourself. And so like getting those messages is why I kept writing that blog, because it's like, okay, do I have 1,000 people in my inbox? No, but these 10 messages that I just got, like that meant something to me.
Yes. So if you can transform the 10, you can transform the 1,000, which goes on the tens of thousands, which touches millions. Because look at how many people someone touched Oprah, and Oprah have changed millions of lives. You only need one.
Exactly.
And that's why I told someone, if one person can hear me on how which this book will be finished by June 30th, it would be out on ebook. I'll come back hopefully to do something on the mentally broken to happiness. You can tell your story the same way, and it will transform, because your life transforms as you grow, and someone can get inspired from that. And I'm so happy and proud that you're doing the podcast. When I heard of it, I was like, oh my God, I'm really excited. So it put a fire in my soul, so that women can know that we all go through something. I mean, it's a very, difficult time. I'm a mom. I'm a super mom. I'm going to call myself a single mom, a super mom with Alexander. And, even though my mom is not here, I do have my father and a couple of family members that do help me. Get some help around you, some support system. They don't have to be blood family. They can be your friends. Yeah. I mean, my friends are still standing in the gap for me. Thank God for my good friends, especially, Aisha and Jasmine, Jamila and a lot of the people that's still around. And I appreciate the understanding, because sometimes people don't know where you are. They need to just love you where you are. Yeah. Because eventually you're going to come out of it, right?
I never judged the fact that we weren't as much in conversation as we were previously. And I would just joke with you like, hey, where have you been? Like, Serena, you're alive. Like, thank God that you're okay. And I do want everybody to know that I did not know all of this stuff about Serena. So over the past 5 years, like, I do text and call and just do check-ins, and you still were sending pictures and stuff, maybe not, responding to text, but I did get to see Alex over the past 5 years through videos and pictures. So it just goes to show that you never know what people are going through. And just because someone's sitting there talking to you or, kind of going through the motions and just saying enough just so you know they're okay, that doesn't mean that they're okay. And I also want to point out that Serena is the reason why I did the Dr. Sebi cleanse.
Wow.
Yes. Remember we had that conversation and you were telling me about all of his herbs and the diet. And so that was how I even started.
Yes, and the reason for that is because after you have a baby, you need to do a cleanse because you're carrying someone else, a whole person inside of you, right?
Yeah.
And even if you don't have a kid, you still need to do a cleanse every year, in my opinion. But and that's why I was doing those cleanses and going on. And that's one of the things why I was able to get back to who I was is because I did a total body cleanse, which takes 90 days. So, I was happy to be an inspiration, and you actually transformed it. You make your own herbs. You look great. I mean, you took it to the 10th power, sister.
Oh, yes, Serena, I was not kidding. Like, I was texting you updates like, yes, you were right. Like, I'm focused. I just feel better just inside, mentally, spiritually. Like, I just felt better when I did that cleanse. So, I'm getting back to it slowly. I can't do as much because I'm still breastfeeding, but yeah, Serena was my inspiration. So you just never know the little conversations you have with people, they can go a long way.
Right. And anybody can be an impact or inspirational in any moment. And I just really appreciate the understanding of friends not bugging me and pressuring me to respond, because when you're mentally broken, you don't know if you're going up or down. Okay. You don't know if you're going up or down or around. Okay. So once you have some kind of solid foundation, it came back. And I know Jasmine going through a lot with her, and she knowing that, oh Lord, something is going on with Serena. She would check on me. She wouldn't push it. And it's a big thing for me to say I had a mental breakdown, because I just like, I had to grow up and really, own it.
Yeah.
Because it's something I went through, not something that's going to keep me back. It was actually a process that I needed to go through to get to how I am now and to grow up to be the woman that I am. And recently I had a great milestone because I made it to the age of 40. So I was so happy to know that I have been restored mentally, and I'm continuing to maintain my mental health as I go forth.
Yeah. Now, I do want to ask, because you said that your breaking point was going to Georgia. So when you came back to California, did you feel that you were starting to have anxiety, or
no? My feet were on fire.
In that environment, did you kind of feel anything like just being back?
I felt relieved. I felt relieved. I was happy to be back because Sunshine, California, what do they call it? Where the palm trees and everything here seems so perfect. It just gave me fire because I was here working again, and with a big job that I got. God is just so amazing. You have to scream out for him. I scream out, God, just help me. And he gave me that job by praying. And when you get to a point where you're tired and you believe with all of the fibers inside of your body, everything you have, without a shadow of a doubt, something got to happen. Something has to move, something has to change, and something has to transform. You just got to know, and that no doubting. The mentally brokenness brought on the doubt. I ain't never have doubt. I'm overly confident. Oh, Serena, I can do this. I can just do anything.
Yeah.
All of that. But when you come down on something that you would be relying on, when your mind breaks, nothing else is going to work. Okay? Yeah. Everything is out of haywire. I can't even take care of Alice. I can't even take care of myself. That ain't gonna work. But the time came when I came back from Georgia, it was a relief, like the whole gates of the heavens open up, because I just like, oh, I have been transformed to given an opportunity to do better for myself.
Yeah.
And I came on back, and God restored it, gave me, transportation, gave me that new job, and gave me everything I needed. A place that I'm in now for Alexander, and he's even moving towards me to get even a new house now. So it just has to stay consistent, because you have to want to maintain it. You have to consistently do things to maintain things. They don't really teach you about the maintenance of things, right?
Yeah.
Like you maintain your car, you have to maintain yourself. You got to exercise. You got to eat. What you're putting in your body is very important.
Yeah.
Like you said, we must put, I love to eat vegetables and fruits now. I eat a lot. And I raise Alexander the same way. If you prefer meat or not prefer, I prefer fish now over meat. And I grew up on a farm. Yeah. So, it is what it is on that. You decide what you want to put in your body, and then it's how your mind is going to respond to that. So now I'm just happy. I've been to the beach today. I, had a walk, and the sun was beaming down on my skin, and, I could smell the roses. That's living,
See, I like that. Now, just to kind of wrap everything up, I appreciate you saying that you went past postpartum, because I think a lot of people, men especially, they don't understand that postpartum doesn't stop just because your baby is doing things and you're comfortable and you're doing your motherly duties. Like, past that, you can still have postpartum, but for you, it became something more than postpartum. And that does happen to a lot of people, and you don't realize it. You don't realize the state that you're in. You have no idea that you're just going through the motions. And so to kind of piggyback off of what you said, I had a miscarriage and was going through the motions for about a year, not feeling as though it should have been an issue, because it was early on in my pregnancy that I had this miscarriage. But the not dealing with it caused me to just be withdrawn. And, I ended up in therapy, talking about a couple of things. And it took a while to get to the root of the problem. Like, I'm thinking that it's all these surface things that are happening in my life. And then, over the course of a couple of months, my therapist was like, so we had a conversation somehow about the miscarriage. And I said, she said, well, how did you deal with it? And I was like, well, it was early on. And she's like, early on, meaning what? And I said, well, it was an early labor, an early pregnancy. So it really wasn't much connection between me and this baby. And she said, you were pregnant. You are a mom, period. And then when she said that, I just broke down, like, immediately, because I never dealt with it. And so the next couple of sessions, we just kind of dug into my feelings, and it was just so invigorating to dig down into those emotions that I buried, like deep, deep, deep buried, and realize that, like, that did really affect me.
Well, that's what I'm glad you said, the realization of it. See, and that's what I said about the owning on being mentally broken. It took a while for me to even get there on that. And I want to also say that my life coach name is Coach J, which is for Toretta, Coach Toretta, that's been helping me through it and getting to the heart and the issue. When you said the root of the problem, oh my goodness, I had to unroot those things, because as a kid in farming, when you plant something and you plant in a garden and you're planting those potatoes and putting those seeds there, you have to unroot some of those weeds and dig them out and get them out from the root. We Band-Aid everything in this society, and we need to unroot things, and then you retool and regrow. See, God unrooted me out of California. I had gotten here. I had a great career working in all the major studios that are here. He unrooted me out of here for 3 months, and I went to Georgia and then brought me back to replant me. Okay. Yeah. He replanted me so that, it transforms your life. Sometimes you just have to leave certain environments and situations so that you can be restored and replanted to even grow, because all your leaves are dead already. Mm-hmm. So you got to unplant it and cut it down and unroot it.
Yes. Prune that tree.
Yes.
And that is definitely, like, I understood exactly what you were saying, because that's what happened to me. And, I think in our community, in the Black community, now therapy is more accepted and encouraged. But you think about all the things that we went through as kids and things that we saw other people go through, and right. things that we know, about our family members that they've never dealt with.
Right.
It just wasn't something. Therapy was for white people.
Right.
And so right. we never went. And I mean, I'm in therapy right now, proud to say I'm in therapy. Even when I was in therapy before, I never shied away from telling people I was in therapy. Like, now
like I said, therapy and coaching, same difference.
The same thing. Exactly. Yes. You have somebody that can help you dive into things that you have kind of, like you said, put a Band-Aid on. They are ripping the Band-Aid off and exposing all types of things. So I definitely encourage therapy for anybody. And one of the things that my therapist talked about is you don't have to feel any kind of way to go to therapy. And
right.
when most people go to therapy, it's like you're past the point of, you need it. If you feel like you need to go, you're past the point of needing to go. You should have been gone. So, but yeah, so I am very proud of you, Serena. I'm glad that your family was there to support you and to physically.
And friends.
I'm going to say family because they were physically there.
Okay.
And they were physically there to see you, because friends were not physically there. So I'm glad that your family was physically there, to kind of be able to pull you out of it. Because you could say anything to me over the phone or through a text message just to put you off to the side. But with them being there, they were able to really see everything that was happening. So I'm very grateful that they were there for you. And that you had that support system where you could leave and go somewhere, to kind of regroup. So, and I'm glad that you were able to be pulled out of that depression, because it is probably one of the hardest things, because you don't know you're in it until you're out of it. And
boom, you said the key words right there. You don't know until you actually woke up. It's like you was in a dream.
Yes, and you sit there and like, what the heck was I doing all these months? Like,
Yes.
So,
and you're correct, Aisha, on that. Wow. Yes. And a lot of us I just want to inspire someone us ladies and men and whomever's listening to you have to, want to change. You got to fight. You got to fight. Someone is always going to be willing to help you. And you're not alone. You have someone who has come from a great family, a great career, have a great mind. I've been having all my entire life. So if I can be restored back, to a new beginning and given another opportunity, anyone can. Okay. So when your mind breaks, you got to know that, it'll be back together and it will work according to the plan that God has for your life.
Absolutely.
So I'm just, fired up to touch as many lives as I can. And I'm excited and elated, and thank you for having me on this show. I appreciate it. And I'm definitely proud of you too, Aisha. You have, inspired us to be on podcasts and TV shows and all this kind of stuff. And I see this stuff every day and I'm like, oh, you take it for granted. But now I'm really inspired to want to do these things and tell people, you have a story, please tell your story.
Yes.
Get in the know so that it can transform us and we're not stuck in those cycle of things, of generational curses, of things that's going on. And speak to your mom and your aunties and ask them about, when they had kids, how they felt, and then so they can have that conversation and they can be delivered, for crying out loud. Okay. Because I'm tired of all of us being in bondage. Okay.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I know you said that your book is going to be finished by the end of this month.
Yes.
So why don't you just tell us the title, if you are able to tell us the title, and
it's gonna probably be named like Mentally Broken to Happiness, or Beyond Postpartum Depression, because most people don't understand that, right? They don't deal in that area. So, I'm still kind of playing around on the title, but that's going to be something great. I'll update you. It's going to drop down on Amazon, the ebook, and we're going to sell thousands and probably even millions of copies. I just love sharing my story. It's a cliche coming from, the background I came from, and not thinking it would ever happen to me. You couldn't have told me when I was 20 that I was going to have a mental breakdown when I was 35 and 36 years old. Please, are you crazy? I'm so smart. I'm this and that. It can happen to anyone, okay?
Yes, it can. Absolutely.
So when I found out it happened to me, you just got to grow with life out here in these streets. You got to fight for it. Got to want it.
Well, I will, once we get all the information about your book, Serena, I will absolutely be promoting it on the podcast, on my Instagram, all the socials, to make sure that everybody is getting it. And so we look forward to reading what you have to say and to be encouraged by your words, just like we were today. So I'm excited to see where all of this takes you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Have a good day.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on another amazing episode. I know that you were just as inspired as I was after listening to that conversation. And to let us know how we're doing, don't forget to leave us a review, like, share, and follow the podcast. Also, follow us on all social media platforms at The Black Girl Blogger, as well as our website at theblackgirlbloggerpodcast.com. And the most important step, make sure you share the podcast with someone you know and tell them to share it with someone they know. And if you know someone who has an amazing story to tell, or if you yourself would love to tell your story, leave us a message on our website or any of our social media platforms so we can reach out to you and have you on the podcast. Until next time, peace out.